Imagine this. Stories that grip your heart, make you cry, laugh, or even change the way you see the world. What if I told you that you could craft such stories, and it all starts with mastering emotional depth? Sounds intriguing, right? Here's a shocking fact. Studies show that stories that tap into emotions are 22 times more memorable than those that don't. That's a massive difference. Yet, many storytellers still struggle with this crucial skill. But don't worry, by the end of this video, you'll have the tools to transform your storytelling and captivate your audience like never before. In the chapters ahead, you'll discover how to weave vulnerability into your narratives to forge real connections. You'll learn to create characters so relatable that your audience can't help but care deeply about them. We'll dive into pacing strategies that keep readers hooked, and explore sensory details that make your scenes leap off the page. We'll also delve into the art of crafting authentic dialogue that breathes life into your characters and discuss how to use emotional resilience to build powerful conflicts and satisfying resolutions. Get ready to dive into the secrets of emotional depth and become a storyteller who truly resonates with their audience. Let's get started. Chapter 1: The Power of Vulnerability. Opening up to connect. Becoming a great storyteller isn't just about crafting a plot, it's about forging connections. One of the most effective ways to do this is by being vulnerable. Brené Brown, in her book, Daring Greatly, says, "Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change." When you share your own vulnerabilities, you invite your audience to connect with you on a deeper level. Think about a time when you felt truly moved by a story. Chances are, it was because the storyteller opened up about their own fears or struggles. This is powerful. When you're vulnerable, you're authentic, and authenticity is magnetic. It draws people in and makes them care about your story. Start by reflecting on your own experiences. What moments in your life have shaped you? These are the stories that will resonate most with your audience. Don't be afraid to share the messy, imperfect parts of your journey. These are often the most relatable and compelling. According to a 2018 study by Harvard Business School, stories that evoke emotion are 22 times more memorable than facts alone. This shows the incredible power of emotional storytelling. When you share your vulnerabilities, you're not just telling a story, you're creating a memorable experience. It's also important to create a safe space for your audience. This means being respectful and empathetic. When people feel safe, they are more likely to open up and engage with your story. Use inclusive language and acknowledge different perspectives to make everyone feel welcome. Remember, vulnerability is not about oversharing or seeking pity. It's about being honest and real. It's about showing that you, too, are human. This creates a sense of trust and makes your audience more likely to connect with you. A great example of this is J.K. Rowling's commencement speech at Harvard. She spoke candidly about her failures and how they led to her success. Her vulnerability inspired millions and made her story even more powerful. Chapter 2: Crafting Relatable Characters, Bringing Emotions to Life. Creating relatable characters is key to mastering emotional depth in your stories. Think of your favorite book or movie. What made you care about the characters? Often, it's their emotional journey that draws us in. Relatable characters make your audience feel seen and understood. Start by giving your characters depth. They should have strengths and weaknesses, just like real people. Avoid making them perfect. Instead, focus on their flaws and how they overcome them. This makes them more human and relatable. A study by the University of Toronto found that readers who engage with complex characters experience increased empathy. This shows the impact of well-crafted characters on your audience's emotions. When your characters are relatable, your audience is more likely to invest in their journey. One way to add depth is by giving your characters realistic motivations. What drives them? What are their fears and dreams? These motivations should be reflected in their actions and decisions. This consistency makes your characters believable and relatable. Another important aspect is dialogue. Your characters' conversations should feel natural and authentic. Avoid using overly formal or stilted language. Instead, write how people actually speak. This makes your characters more relatable and your story more engaging. Use body language and facial expressions to convey your character's emotions. Show, don't tell. Instead of saying, "She was sad," describe her slumped shoulders and downcast eyes. This creates a more vivid and emotional image for your audience. Remember to include diversity in your characters. Representation matters. Diverse characters can resonate with a wider audience and create more opportunities for connection. Be mindful and respectful in your portrayal of different cultures, backgrounds, and experiences. Another tip is to create characters with conflicting desires. This adds complexity and makes them more interesting. For example, a character might want to be successful but also value their family time. This internal conflict can create emotional depth and make your characters more relatable. J.R.R. Tolkien once said, "A single dream is more powerful than 1,000 realities." Give your characters dreams and aspirations that your audience can root for. This makes their journey more compelling and emotional. Chapter 3, The Art of Pacing, Timing Your Emotional Beats. Pacing is a critical element of storytelling that often gets overlooked. Getting the timing right can make all the difference in how your audience experiences the emotional journey of your story. As the saying goes, it's all about timing. This holds true in storytelling as well. Start by mapping out your story's emotional beats. These are the key moments where you want your audience to feel something specific, like excitement, sadness, or relief. According to the book, Save the Cat, by Blake Snyder, every great story follows a structure with clear emotional highs and lows. One effective strategy is to vary the pace. Mix slower, introspective moments with fast-paced, action-packed scenes. This contrast keeps your audience engaged and makes the emotional moments more impactful. Think of it as a roller coaster ride with peaks and valleys. Data from a study by the University of Sussex shows that varying the pace of a narrative increases engagement and emotional impact. When your story has a rhythm, it's easier for your audience to stay connected. Don't be afraid to let your story breathe. Sometimes, a quiet moment can be just as powerful as a big climax. Use these moments to delve deeper into your character's emotions and motivations. This adds layers to your story and makes it more compelling. Dialogue is another tool you can use to control pacing. Short, snappy exchanges can speed things up, while longer, more reflective conversations can slow things down. Pay attention to how the length and tempo of your dialogue affect the flow of your story. Suspense is a powerful pacing tool. Alfred Hitchcock said, "There is no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it." Build suspense by withholding information or delaying the resolution of a conflict. This keeps your audience on the edge of their seats. Transition smoothly between scenes to maintain a good pace. Avoid abrupt changes that can jar your audience out of the story. Instead, use transitional phrases or actions to guide your audience from one scene to the next seamlessly. Chapter 4, Sensory Immersion, Painting with Words. Sensory immersion is a powerful technique for adding emotional depth to your stories. By engaging your audience's senses, you can create a more vivid and memorable experience. As writer Anton Chekhov said, "Don't tell me the moon is shining, show me the glint of light on broken glass." Start by incorporating sensory details into your descriptions. Think about what your characters see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. This creates a rich, immersive environment that draws your audience in. A study by the University of Pennsylvania found that sensory details can enhance emotional engagement in storytelling. For example, instead of saying, "It was a hot day," you could describe the sensation of sweat trickling down a character's back or the glare of the sun on their face. These details make the scene more tangible and emotionally resonant. Sound is a particularly effective tool for creating atmosphere. Use auditory details to set the mood and convey emotions. The rustling of leaves, the distant hum of traffic, or the sound of a heartbeat can add layers of meaning to your story. Smell is closely linked to memory and emotion. Mentioning specific scents can evoke strong feelings and memories in your audience. Describe the aroma of fresh-baked bread or the musty scent of old books to transport your audience into the scene. Taste can also be a powerful sensory detail. Whether it's the sweetness of a ripe apple or the bitterness of coffee, describing tastes can add another dimension to your story. These details make your narrative more immersive and relatable. Touch is another important sense to consider. Describe the texture of objects or the sensation of physical contact. The roughness of a rope, the warmth of a hug, or the chill of a winter breeze can all add depth to your storytelling. Use sensory details to reveal your character's emotions. Instead of saying a character is scared, describe their clammy hands and racing heartbeat. This shows rather than tells, making the emotion more vivid and impactful. Balance is key. While sensory details are powerful, too many can overwhelm your audience. Focus on the most relevant and impactful details to create a vivid, immersive experience without bogging down the narrative. Chapter 5, Dialogue Dynamics, Voices with Authentic Emotion. Dialogue is more than just words on a page. It's a tool for conveying authentic emotion and bringing your characters to life. Great dialogue can make your audience feel like they're part of the conversation. Start by listening to real conversations. Pay attention to how people talk, the rhythm of their speech, and the emotions they convey. This will help you write dialogue that feels natural and relatable. One key strategy is to give each character a distinct voice. This means they should have their own unique way of speaking, based on their background, personality, and emotions. J.K. Rowling is a master at this. Each character in the Harry Potter series has a distinct voice that reflects their personality. Use dialogue to reveal character traits and emotions. Instead of telling the audience how a character feels, show it through their words and actions. For example, if a character is nervous, they might stutter or avoid eye contact. This makes the emotion more real and relatable. Interruptions and pauses can add realism to your dialogue. People rarely speak in perfect sentences. They interrupt each other, change topics, and have pauses. Including these elements makes your dialogue more lifelike and engaging. According to a study by the University of California, realistic dialogue can increase audience engagement by up to 50%. This shows the power of well-crafted dialogue in storytelling. Use subtext to add depth to your dialogue. Subtext is the unspoken meaning behind the words. For example, a character might say, "I'm fine," but their body language or tone might suggest otherwise. This adds layers of meaning and emotion to your story. Dialogue tags are another important element. Simple tags like "said" or "asked" are often best, as they don't distract from the dialogue itself. However, don't overuse them. If it's clear who is speaking, you can omit the tags altogether. Incorporate nonverbal communication into your dialogue. Facial expressions, gestures, and body language can all convey emotion and add depth to your scenes. A character's clenched fists or tear-filled eyes can say more than words ever could. Pacing is crucial in dialogue. Fast-paced dialogue can convey excitement or tension, while slower dialogue can create a more reflective or somber mood. Adjust the pacing to match the emotional tone of your scene. Chapter 6, Emotional Resilience, Navigating Conflict and Resolution. Emotional resilience is key to creating compelling conflicts and resolutions in your stories. Conflict drives your narrative and keeps your audience invested. But how you resolve that conflict can leave a lasting emotional impact. Start by creating meaningful conflicts. These should challenge your characters in ways that force them to grow and change. A great example is Frodo's journey in The Lord of the Rings. His internal and external conflicts shape his character and drive the story. Make sure your conflicts are relatable. Even if your story is set in a fantastical world, the emotions behind the conflict should be universal. Love, fear, jealousy, and hope are emotions everyone can understand and relate to. According to psychologist Paul Ekman, humans experience 6 basic emotions: happiness, sadness, fear, anger, surprise, and disgust. Use these emotions to create conflicts that resonate with your audience on a fundamental level. Show your characters emotional resilience by illustrating their growth. How do they overcome their challenges? What do they learn from their struggles? This not only adds depth to your characters but also makes their journey more inspiring and relatable. Resolution is just as important as conflict. A satisfying resolution doesn't necessarily mean a happy ending. It means an ending that feels true to your story and characters. Sometimes, a bittersweet or open-ended resolution can be more impactful. Data from a study by the University of Texas shows that stories with emotionally complex resolutions are more memorable. This suggests that taking risks with your endings can pay off in terms of emotional impact. Use foreshadowing to build up to your resolution. This creates a sense of anticipation and keeps your audience engaged. Subtle hints and clues throughout your story can make the resolution feel earned and satisfying. Balance your resolution with the rest of your story. Avoid rushing the ending or dragging it out. The resolution should feel like a natural conclusion to the conflicts you've built up. Consider the emotional arc of your story. Just as with pacing, vary the emotional intensity to keep your audience engaged. A well-timed resolution can provide a sense of closure and catharsis. Reflect on the themes of your story in your resolution. This can give your ending a deeper meaning and leave a lasting impression on your audience. Themes like redemption, sacrifice, and forgiveness can add emotional weight to your resolution.